Welcome to the Fiber Optic Center's Jazz Podcast Series with your host, Dave Reis, one of the area's foremost authorities on the South Coast jazz scene from the post-World War II years to today. The South Coast Artists Index thanks the Fiber Optic Center for their continued support of the arts on the South Coast and underwriting this 10-part jazz podcast series. Your host, Dave Reis, will help preserve the memory and legacy of the jazz artists coming to and from the South Coast and how they helped to shape what jazz is today. And now, Dave Reis.
Hello, I'm Dave Reis, jazz host for South Coast Artists Index. And I came over to visit my friend, John Harrison III, and we've just been discussing things, and I've been recording them. Hopefully, this will be my next podcast with South Coast Artists Index. And after the interview, or during the interview, we'll play a couple of tunes by John Harrison. Hi, John.
Hey,
how you doing, buddy? I'm Dave Reis, and I'm having a little chat here with my friend John Harrison III, one of our great musicians from the New Bedford area, and we're going to discuss some of his experiences.
excellent.
John, and John, how long have you been playing? When did you stop playing? Let's put it that way.
That far back, huh?
Yeah, I remember seeing you. My father used to take me to watch you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Nuns. I went to Catholic school, Sacred Hearts Catholic School in on Summer Street, and I think it was anyway. It's no longer there. They tore it down in the church too. But there, and I studied with the nuns. Took a lesson a week. You know, my parents always had a piano here. So, and I picked that up and I started to do that pretty well. And I think the nuns would, when you made a mistake with the nuns, she had a knitting needle. And she'd sit right by the piano like this and pop you in the fingers. And I'm really surprised I lasted that long to do it
on your fingers.
Oh, no
yeah,
kidding.
on your fingers.
So, I mean, she would do that. And anyway, I outgrew that. And then my mother was, she was a saint. She was looking, doing some research in the area as far as piano teachers. And do you remember Chick Boucher?
Oh, yeah, the drummer.
The drummer.
And he had a store. Yeah.
Yep. And so she was always friendly with that family. And so she inquired with Chick, who would he recommend? And he recommended this guy, Manny Machado, who I guess had a name in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty good and stuff. And he was the one that just didn't teach you what to read on the paper. He taught me about chords, a little bit about theory. He wasn't that well versed,
Mm-hmm.
but he did know enough to teach it. And, you know, I can remember he taught me how to read what they used to call a fake book.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
And which just had the name of the chord on top of the melody that was written out. And that was the fake book. There was nothing else. No chord. It would say C major 7 or something. And you would play that along with the melody that was happening written down. So that's how you read fake books back then.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And still today.
Good. Yeah, that's the reason why I'm doing this. You know, jazz is my passion, but my passion is to let people know what jazz musicians, how they started, what they went through, and their experiences. It wasn't just you went up and played your piano. Yeah. And
No.
so come on.
It's I guess you know, I just played and just you go through the, you know, I would rather have played baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother said, no, you got to practice because she always used to say, I've invested this for so long, just when you start to sound good, you want to quit. And so
Right.
I wasn't allowed to quit.
No.
So my friends would be walking around and, when's you going to be free to go and play and do whatever? So it was kind of interesting in that respect,
Yeah.
And then I got good enough to go, I was in high school. And then, in high school, it was like, I went to parochial school and then transferred over to New Bedford High School. So it was the whole city. There was a lot of musicians.
Right.
And so I got into a lot of cliques like that. I was never that good at sports, but the music thing kind of, I did well with,
Mm-hmm.
And then, as that progressed, not many piano players out there. So my teacher recommended me. They were looking for a piano player at this place called the Kent 400 Club, which is, you remember where Al Amber's was?
Yes.
And then you go underneath the highway. And then on the left-hand side was this Kent 400 Club. And a couple of guys from the area, good trumpet player, Andy Ferreira, and a saxophone player. I can't remember the saxophone. He used to own a jewelry store on Burlick Street.
Mm-hmm.
And they had, a trumpet and saxophone. And Lenny Perry, he was teaching up at Berklee at the time. And he was on it, this drummer, Brad Mello. And I got called to play. My teacher recommended me. Got up there and called, and I got up there and I had to read because all of that music was, I didn't grow up with that stuff.
Yeah.
So they basically got into it that way,
So how young were you? That was in young age?
God, I was 15.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
Real young.
Right. Well,
In fact, I couldn't drive there. They had to come and pick me up.
yeah. Oh, good. And then, so how did you get into jazz?
Jazz was in high school. Yeah, they recruited me for the school band.
Yes.
So they made me learn tuba, and then I played piano for whatever else they needed, And so I got into it doing it that way.
Yeah.
And then you get talking with your peers, the students that, and some of them were good players, and they would say, oh, you got to listen to this guy, you got to listen to, and a lot of them were jazz.
Yep.
And, Beatles were coming out, they were out. That wasn't too hard to play,
Yep.
So, but the jazz stuff, we were taking the standards that, Gershwin, Cole Porter, and so on. And we would do them in a quartet ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to see, you try not to play the melody again as your solo.
You improvise around.
So then you learn how to improvise,
Yeah.
which my teacher would teach me too.
Yeah.
What little he had to grip,
There's a funny story about that. When you just said about the high school. I remember I used to do the MC for Russ Campoli, and I volunteered with the high school.
Yep.
And one day I was the MC on one of the shows, and I introduced your son playing piano with a high school band.
Yep.
And then the main event, I introduced you playing the band with Rebecca Paris and Nancy Christian.
That's right.
High school band.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Yeah.
He's out in the backyard doing my flat
Yeah.
with my youngest.
Yeah.
Both good musicians, funny. But they don't have the
the
urge.
Yeah, they have the interest.
Well, they saw what their dad went through.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Speaking what you went through, tell us about your career. You went on with Tavares.
Yep.
Good reading the Platters.
Bobby Carrero was, God bless him. God bless his soul.
Nice.
Was really inside. Bobby was looking to put musicians together in New Bedford. And I think I was at Berklee at the time. And he gave me a call. And, I'm Bobby Carrero. I'm back in New Bedford, and I'm going to put this thing together. We're going to do some gigs and concerts and so on. I said, okay. He says, well, he says, why don't you come over to my house? And he lived over here with the highway. It's that side street to the highway, going on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in a 3-apartment along with Brad Mello was there.
Yeah.
So I guess Brad recommended me. And Bobby called me up. And I went over to his house. And in this front room that faced the street, he had his big drum set up,
Mm-hmm.
2 bass drums all over the place.
Yeah.
And he starts to sit down and play. And I swear to God, I thought the windows were moving and the walls were moving. It was that, he was just loud.
Yeah.
But boy, he could play.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
Yeah. He had a great personality.
I know.
He was
a magical guy.
He was. I enjoyed
I never saw him in a bad mood.
No.
He was funny.
Yes, he was. Yeah. So, and then you went on to Tavares.
Tavares was after I graduated from Berklee, and Jackie Santos is the one that got me.
Yeah.
Well, Stevie Soares was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess Jackie had recommended me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I pretty much got the gig and started with them.
Mm.
It was, I think I might have auditioned, but I don't remember. No, in fact, the first gig was in D.C.
Wow.
And they flew me down to D.C. and there was like 9,000 people at this concert. I had never played more than 30 or 40 people in a nightclub. So I walked on the stage and it was like, whoa, this is a different level, Played the gig, played the show for them. And I was there for 5 years, I think.
Yeah. Mm.
I guess they liked what I did.
Yeah. In fact, John, Monday I went to see the South Coast Jazz Orchestra. Yeah. They played over in Fairhaven, and 2 people came over and asked for you. Diane Carey.
Oh, yeah.
You produced her CD.
Yes, I did.
She asked for you.
Yep.
And then Raposa, that you did the vocalist. Bob, was it Bob?
Oh, okay.
His wife was there, and she asked for you.
Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that before we forget.
Bob knows. Bob, hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm bad with names. Yeah. But you made that was nice of you. He wanted, he sang, he used to sit in.
Yeah.
And you made that CD with him.
Right.
Playing the piano with him singing.
Right.
Yes, I remember that.
I
thought he was. In fact, I played it on the station a lot, In fact, one day I played it and then I bumped into him. He said, I want to thank you for playing my CD. I said, no, I'm sorry. He said, I had friends with me, visitors. He said, but not only that, you played two songs. All the songs were so short. He said, so that made an impressment on them. We were riding in the car with listening.
Excellent.
I like that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah. And and your jazz, and then you, Rebecca Paris.
Yep, Becky was before that. Actually, how I met Rebecca was, as you remember Richie Haddix.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Right, yeah.
He got this gig that we were on the Avenue. It was short-lived. And a funny story here. They were both, I can't remember their names, but it was a husband and wife.
Oh, Lemon Jenny.
No, I know it was Lemon Jenny.
Because they were always with Rebecca.
But these are the ones that owned
the place.
Owned the nightclub, right?
Yeah.
So Richie asked me to do the gig and Jackie was on the gig. And then they would do a different front person every week that we played. So in other words, Richie knew everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of them was Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I ever worked with Rebecca was at that place, the 1369 Club on the Avenue.
Yes, I remember the place.
And the funniest thing, she had a big, like a buffet there when people would come in so they could eat. And they had like I take a $2 cover charge.
Yeah.
And you know New Bedford, they don't like to pay cover charge.
No, not at all.
So they would complain to her, and the places were
Yeah.
because it was a good trio. And I mean, all of the headliners were like Dick Johnson, very great players.
Yeah.
You know? So they would draw.
Yeah.
So people were complaining about the $2 cover charge. And it was like, okay. So the woman says, geez, you know, she was new at it.
Yeah.
So she decided, well, I'll try to save some money. So she stopped the buffet. And what do you think happened? They started to complain that there was no buffet.
Yeah.
So it's hilarious.
Yeah, the Bobby Green used to be upset about that, how there was no cover charge. Yeah. I remember one time at Piccadilly, they never had cover charge, you know, but they got Joe Williams, and I guess it was expensive. So they had a cover charge for that week while Joe Williams there. It was a big complaint with the people. See somebody like Joe Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A national headline.
That's how New Bedford was. Yeah.
You know, they wanted, you know, I could never understand it because, you know, like Bobby Green's impression was like, you're giving the music away. You don't have a cover charge.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be exorbitant.
No.
Just for the fact, just for the $2 there, just for the fact that you're not, it's not just a freebie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But at that time, I mean, we were very active with music.
Oh,
we didn't
yeah.
know what place to go. You jump and catch a set here. And
And a lot of music happening.
Jam sessions. One of my favorite Christmas, even Christmas time, I don't play it. The Child is Born.
Yep.
John Harrison and Clay Osborne. That was beautiful stuff.
That's a great. Clay was a magical person.
Yes. Yeah. The whole Osborne family.
Exactly.
His brother was a famous.
Still is. Still alive.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I love that. I play that in the house. Yeah. But those are the days. And then, the City Sound, you were like the piano man for when the City Sound was started.
For a long time.
Yes, for a long time. I looked through all the CDs.
Yeah.
John Harrison.
They're collecting dust, I think.
Yeah, CDs nowadays.
No kidding.
No, but you know.
Poor Neil.
Yeah. Once in a while, I'll tell somebody, I'll lend you a CD. No, I don't have a CD player anymore. And the cars don't have CD players anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No idea which, you know, the people, that's why I went, you know, that they were really going after vinyl again.
Yeah.
Vinyl, you could read the album cover.
Right.
And read the story behind it and, you know, get some insight about what happened, how the recording something to talk about, you know?
Yeah. And I still play my vinyl and I get a big kick out of it. You know, I've got vinyls from the 60s, from high school on, and I still play them. And some Miles Davis CDs, LPs, I pay $3.98 for. And I said, man, in stereo was $4.98. I'd save $1 and buy non-stereo. And now those reissues of those things are $30.
Don't get it.
$30.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the turnaround is.
Yep.
And they're back out to selling turntables again.
Yep.
And power cabinets and stuff like that. So they missed that what the vinyl sound.
Yeah. And I experienced it. You know, CDs came out, and I had a big vinyl collection I've always collected.
Yeah.
And CDs came out. I got so excited, put my vinyl up in the attic, started playing the CDs, and then
much cleaner.
Yeah. Then in recent years, I brought my LPs back down and started playing, and I realized how nice the LPs sound.
Much warmer.
Yes, they sound more live.
Yep, exactly.
But I just got excited because there were CDs and put them on, you know. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I remember with CDs that the first time I really heard something was a classical piece. And what I ended up hearing was, I had never really heard this before on the vinyl, was some of the instruments that were coming through.
Yes.
That you didn't hear before.
That's right.
And it was like magical. It said, oh, I didn't realize that was like, you know.
Yeah. And it's the same thing now that vinyls come back. You get great cartridges and everything. Yeah. Same thing. I'm playing those records with the new cartridges and there's a lot of things I never heard on the album before.
Right.
Yeah. But it's true. The technology is so good.
It just makes it come out of the recording needle.
Yeah. one of those favorite things that you did, Whalen City, it was the Whalen City Sound Super Band.
Oh yeah,
That live recording you guys did.
Right.
Yeah, with Dino.
yeah. That was a Neil project.
Yeah, that's what it was called, Whalen City Sound
Yep.
Super Band. Yeah, with Stan Belmos was on guitar.
Exactly.
Dino was on sax. Billy Maielli
Yep.
on bass.
Yep.
Rusty Russo drums.
That's
Dr.
right.
D, Danny Schwartz.
Dr. D.
He played Monday with the band. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad
Yeah, yeah.
she's been
Yeah, he's not taking that many,
not there. Yeah.
but he took that one. He was having a good time.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That was at the at Cisco's.
No, they just
Place
Sonic Connect.
Nick Sonic.
Yeah, first time they're gonna do first Monday of
Good for
the month, and that was the first gig. It was packed. Well, the place is small. It's packed easy anyway.
Bobby packs that.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a lot of contacts in the Marion, Mattapoisett area and stuff. So he draws
Right.
from there.
Yeah.
And it's a great band.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were having fun. They were so happy to be together. The band was so happy. They was happy as we were
Yep.
because they don't get a chance to do that
Was
much.
Dino there?
No, Dino's
Oh, he didn't play?
Dino's not playing. Dino's not in an accident.
Yeah, I heard.
I don't think he started playing yet.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I know Mike Rocha was there. And Mike
Oh, yeah, Mike.
Mike was there, and Danny, Trevor Kellum.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was nice, and they were having a good time.
And Bob's son is playing drums.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
He played the drums. Yeah.
Who was the bass player? Do you know?
Sue did.
Oh.
He played in high school when I used to volunteer.
Wow.
In fact, in my retirement party, surprise, they had the kids with Kyle Nassar.
Right.
And they played at my.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good bass player.
Yeah. So he was the bass player. Yeah. It was nice to see you guys. They were really enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Because they were laughing and joking in the band. Guys were so.
They had kind of a hiatus for a while.
Yeah.
So they must
That's
have been
why.
glad
That's
to get
why.
back
It was like a
together.
reunion. It was like a reunion.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And it was like a reunion for us fans too, because we hadn't seen each other.
Sure.
Like I said, Diane Carey and
Yep.
the people that asked for you. I hadn't seen them for a long time because there hasn't been any events to go to, you know.
Not at all.
So, how about your experiences in Europe when you were with Rebecca?
Well, yeah, okay. With Rebecca, I had done, let's see, Paris twice. We did Monte Carlo. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I can remember flying into Paris, and then we had to take a bus or a shuttle down to Monte Carlo, which was not that far. But we got there, and they put us in a hotel, which was built on the side of a cliff that was more in Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think Nice, Monte Carlo, and then it goes up the coast that way, you know? And I'll make this quick because I got to talk with them.
Okay.
But what happened was I get into the hotel room. And I open up the shade so that, and it's like, right, there's the Mediterranean.
Oh, man.
On the side of it. And all of a sudden, I'm out on the balcony, and here comes this hang glider right by my room.
Oh, man.
So they're up there in the back, jumping off the cliff with hang gliders. And it was like, I don't know if it got any better than that. You know what I mean?
I guess not, man.
And I hadn't even played it out
And
yet.
you just got there.
I just got there.
This was the beginning.
I hope this gets to go downhill from here.
Yeah, what way to start?
So I was there with Rebecca. She was brilliant as usual.
Yeah,
Yeah. And she just had it all happening. She was fearless on the microphone. I mean, as an entertainer, talking with people.
Yeah.
She was brilliant at that. And then she sang, and it was like on a different level.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What she did with a ballad?
Oh,
unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it was like she was talking to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She was a master at it.
Yes.
Died way too young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. And then you went back with Sean Montero, too. Didn't you?
Sean Montero, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up doing a CD for her. Her first CD was visit me.
Yes.
And that was, I'm trying to remember the guy that wrote the tunes, but all original material.
Yes, I have.
And it was like, wow, this guy was, I think, a blind organist from the West Coast.
Oh, is that
That
right?
he knew.
Yeah.
And incredible. I mean, it was just so easy to take his material and work it. I wrote the arrangements,
Mm-hmm.
and they we got John Allmark
Yeah.
and Dick Johnson to perform
Mm-hmm.
on that. So she's on a record with Dick Johnson, which is not a bad thing.
Not at all.
And the trio that I had was the trio that worked with Rebecca,
Yeah.
Alan Hall, Peter Katrinas,
Yep.
who owns the studio
Right.
up there.
Yeah. Bass player.
Yep, bass player
Great
and
bass
myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And two horn players.
Alan Hall was a drummer.
Yeah, Alan Hall. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. That was a great recording session.
And now Europe, different experience for musicians, for artists.
You were actually treated with the respect. I think it must seem scary
Exactly.
because you're always waiting for something to turn left.
That's
you know?
right. That's right.
And there, it's like, oh, we need to have you come and do lunch. Our group is having lunch, and we'd love to have you join us and tell us about this and that. So it was never a dull moment.
Oh, no. Yeah. And that's why we lost a lot of great musicians.
Yeah.
Early years when they went over there and saw that tree, they never came back. Johnny Griffin, Don Byers,
Yeah, I almost worked
Dexter Gordon.
You've been listening to the South Coast Artist Index Jazz Podcast Series, graciously underwritten by the Fiber Optic Center, helping make the best cable assemblies in the world. Located in New Bedford, Massachusetts, the Fiber Optic Center also sponsored the jazz mural in the New Bedford Whaling National Historical Park. For more information, visit them at focenter.com. And now, back to the Fiber Optic Center's Jazz Podcast Series with your host, Dave Reis.
And the next tune we're going to listen to is John Harrison Trio. And John recorded this with musicians that one musician, actually, the drummer that he met while he was in Europe. We were talking about musicians from America that went to Europe and never came back. Well, Alvin Queen, the drummer on this, is one of those musicians. And John met him while he was playing there in Europe, and John invited him to come back to America to record a CD. And Peter Katrinas, the bassist, is from Massachusetts. In fact, he owned the studio that they recorded at.
that's why we were lucky here in New Bedford.
No kidding.
Yeah, I grew up with it around me all the time.
Yep.
And in fact, I remember when, not that I'm that old, but I remember when you came on the scene.
Yeah.
And I remember when Amstead Christian, first time I saw him was with you.
Right.
The group you guys had.
Right.
He mostly played alto. He didn't sing that much.
Right.
And then he started. So I think, it was nice just seeing all this around us all the time. You didn't know where to go on a Sunday afternoon because there were so many jam sessions.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
you get all
Bobby
excited,
Green.
right?
Bobby Green had a session almost every Sunday.
Yeah.
And all different spots in the city. When one place would get tired of it and it's closed, another place couldn't wait to get it.
Exactly. And move them over here.
That band that I had with Armstead,
Mhm.
Kathy Lindner.
Right. Okay. Bad with names. I'm glad you brought it up.
And Timmy Ingalls.
Yeah.
And the first drummer was Bobby Carrero.
Yes.
Then Jackie Santos took it.
Mhm.
So, two great drummers.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to love that group. Yeah.
And we would work. I don't think a band has done that in this area. Definitely not a jazz band.
Right.
But we had 6 nights a week. We used to work. Remember the old hangars?
Yes.
That was a jazz night.
Yep.
Downtown, across from the library, was the Vault.
Yep.
We did a night there.
Yep.
My good friend who's no longer with us, it's Smuggler's Den. He always had us in there.
Yeah.
Carl Pimento.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think of where else. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember.
So we're reaching back.
I can remember seeing you guys, and like I said, that's the first time I saw Armstead play was with you guys.
Yeah, and that band was in demand.
Oh, I know. It was such an entertaining band.
Yeah.
Katie was it? She was a good singer. And then once in a while, Armstead would sing a song.
With her.
Yeah, but then he became a singer.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we were lucky to get him.
No kidding.
Oh man.
What a talent.
Oh yes. Oh.
Way too young.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So
that Bobby's gone. Armstead's gone. Timmy Ingalls is gone.
Rick
Brito's gone.
Yeah. All the 6 guys on the wall. That Neil's wall. They're all passed away.
Yep.
Yeah. Rick passed away young too. He was
Herbie King.
Herbie. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. I did a podcast. The last podcast I did was about them. I said, I'm going to introduce you to the guys on the wall, and I played something by each one of them.
Oh, nice.
I'll show you. You can hear it. You can listen to it on your computer. That just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Very nice.
Yeah. So hopefully we make a podcast out of what we're talking about today.
Excellent.
Yeah. And and then you went out to teach. You were a professor at UMass Dartmouth. We didn't say.
Actually, that happened. I kind of fell into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was working too much. So I couldn't really commit to teaching.
Right.
I taught when I was a senior at Berklee.
Mm-hmm.
They had me teaching.
Yeah.
For not a real important course.
No.
But like if they had but it was like a low level. So I taught there for a semester or 2 semesters. And really once I got out of there, I just was on the road and just, traveling and whatever, earning a living.
Right. Yeah.
And then Bobby Green was the head of the jazz department. They had gone through, who were some of the teachers up there? Jackie Byard.
Yeah, that's right.
Taught up there.
That's right, Jackie Byard.
And a number of others that just escape me now.
Yeah, I'm bad with names.
When Bobby got the gig, we would play up there with him when he would be able to create a concert here and there. So we were with him, and then he passed away and recommended me to take his place.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turned out, I couldn't really absorb the whole thing.
Right.
Because
you couldn't commit to it. Yeah.
I couldn't commit. So I committed to some of it. And I was here 26 years. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But no, maybe an hour a week,
It's funny.
couple hours a week, you know?
It's funny you said that. I was at the radio station 26 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't know, but when we got closed down, they had right up in the Standard Times, and they said that I was there 20. I don't know how many years it was, but you were 26.
Yeah.
Well, we better play that number tonight.
And to prove what a great piano player we had come from New Bedford, on that the tune with Clark Terry on trumpet. Clark Terry was Duke Ellington's trumpet player and went on to be a band leader on his own. The bass player, Jimmy Woody, he was Duke Ellington's bass player for many years. And Jimmy Cobb, the drummer, played for Miles Davis, and he was a drummer that you find in almost every LP. The studios always use him when they recorded, no matter who they recorded. Jimmy Cobb was the drummer they wanted.
Thanks for listening to the Fiber Optic Center's Jazz Podcast Series with your host, Dave Reis. Please go to theartistindex.com for more information about the Fiber Optic Center, Dave Reis, or this 10-part jazz podcast series.